can always talk about healing, but we often think about it like it's this huge battle, right? Like almost like we're trying to force our body to change, or like we're fighting against an illness.
Yeah.
But what if? What if it's something totally different?
Oh, totally.
When we look at the teachings of Ra in the Law of One, those could be our sources for today's deep dive.
Right.
They actually give this really interesting idea that true healing doesn't come from the healer's like strength, like their power, but it's actually from their clarity.
Oh, interesting.
Like they're completely transparent. So that way, what they call intelligent infinity can just flow, like completely unhindered.
That really changes things up from how we normally think about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
instead of the healer doing something, to the person that they're healing, it's like they're becoming a pure channel.
Yeah, exactly.
So then it makes you wonder, what does that even look like? Like how does healing actually happen if that's the way it works?
That is exactly what we want to get into with you today.
Okay.
We are diving deep into this whole concept of healing through transparency, not power.
I like it.
Yeah. And we've gone through the Ra sessions, and we've like tried to pull out all the big principles, We want to get to like the aha moments.
Yeah.
But we don't want to like overload you with a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Our goal is to understand, like really get this idea that effective healing, it's not about the healer themselves, like their strength or if they're like forcing something to happen, but it's about their ability to be clear.
Right. A clear conduit.
Yeah, to be this clear conduit so that this intelligent infinity can work.
Okay.
So if you think of intelligent infinity for a second, it's kind of like this boundless energy of the universe.
Oh, okay.
And it's aware. It's like the source of everything.
Okay.
So when we're thinking about this in the context of the Law of One, which, like, remember, is all about, how everything's one.
Right.
The healer being this clear, transparent channel actually makes a lot of sense.
It does, yeah.
Because then they're, like, reminding us of how whole we already are.
Yeah.
It's not like they're fixing us because we're broken and separate.
Yeah. I gotcha.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The healer as this vessel.
Okay.
It's almost like the healer isn't where healing comes from, but they're more like this, I don't know, pristine conduit.
Yeah, like a pipe, a channel.
Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
The Ray actually says this, like, straight up, In session 73, he says, "He who states that no working comes from it, but only through it, is not infringing upon free will." So what does that tell us about the healer's role?
It tells us that right away they're respecting the autonomy of the individual, like right away.
Okay.
So the healer, by acknowledging that they're not the source of the healing energy, they're preventing themselves from kind of, pushing too much onto the person that they're trying to heal, or like taking over. And there's no ego involved. Like there's no "I healed you" kind of thing going on. It's like shifting like where the power is in that situation, totally changes that dynamic.
Yeah. And then we see this again in session 66, where Rao says, "The crystallized healer is a channel for intelligent energy which offers an opportunity to an entity that it might heal itself." So like crystallized healer, that sounds like someone who's done a lot of their own work.
Right. Yeah, like they've kind of purified themselves in a way.
Yeah. And then like the most important part is offers an opportunity to heal itself. It's not about the healer doing it.
Right.
It's giving that person the opportunity.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about like a hollow reed.
Okay.
Like a hollow reed. It's not strong because of itself. It's strong because it's empty, and it allows the wind to go through it.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what this is getting at.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great analogy. And this idea of crystallized, it's really important because it implies that the healer has done their own work. They've gone on their own journey to become clear and balanced. And that's actually what allows them to be that pure channel,
Right.
It's not just anyone that can jump into that role. It takes a lot of work on yourself to be able to do that.
Yeah. So that brings us to like the next point, the importance of the healer's own inner state.
Right.
So it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like if that conduit or that pipe, like we were saying, if it's blocked or if it's all murky,
right,
the flow is not going to be good.
It's not going to work now.
Ra says in session 66, "Only insofar as the healer has become balanced, may it be a channel for the balancing of an other self. The healing is first practiced upon the self." So why is that practicing upon the self so important?
Well, you can't help someone else become balanced if you're not balanced yourself.
Oh.
It's like trying to transmit a clear signal, but you have a broken antenna.
Okay.
It's just not going to work. So the healer, when they go through their own self-discovery and they harmonize themselves, that's not a separate thing from their ability to heal other people.
Right.
It's actually part of it.
Yeah. And it's all because the healer isn't doing the healing, but they're allowing it to happen through them.
Right.
They're transparent. So it becomes like more of a catalytic process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ross says this so well in session 5. He says, the healer does not heal. The healer is only the catalyst. The healing working is congruent in that it is a form of channeling some distortion of the intelligent infinity.
Right.
And that word catalyst really stands out.
Yeah, it does.
It's about allowing and surrender, like that transparency we've been talking about.
Exactly. So, you know how a catalyst speeds up a reaction right now, but it doesn't actually change during the process. It's the same idea here. The healer, they provide, the right energetic environment. They're like that clear channel.
Yeah.
And that allows the person to heal themselves. Like it allows their ability to heal themselves to kind of activate,
Right.
It's like they're creating the perfect conditions for that to happen.
I feel like this is also getting into like some really deep spiritual stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because, when you look at what Ra's saying, he talks about spirit.
Right.
And he talks about it like it's this go-between for our own energy and that divine energy that we've been calling intelligent infinity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In section 6, he says, the spirit can become a functioning shuttle or communicator from the entity's individual energy will upwards and from the streamings of the creative fire and wine downwards. So if you think about that transparent healer, how do they fit in with this whole spirit shuttle idea?
Well, the healer, through their inner work, through them becoming clear, they essentially become a better pathway for the spirit communication to happen. They've built this connection that lets them channel these higher energies, but like without their ego or their own stuff getting in the way.
Right.
They're aligning with a bigger source.
So because they understand this,
Mm-hmm.
the focus isn't on like guaranteeing a cure.
Right.
It's about giving the person an opportunity to heal.
Yeah.
And we see this again in sessions 66. The crystallized healer is a channel for intelligent energy which offers an opportunity to an entity that it might heal itself.
Right.
It's like they're detaching themselves from like specific results,
Yeah.
They give the person a clear channel, they hold that space, but the actual healing is happening within the person themselves.
Right. They have to align with that energy.
Yeah.
And that detachment, it's really important to keep that channel clear.
Okay.
If the healer wants a specific result to happen, that can be a very subtle form of manipulation. It's like they're trying to force something to happen. And that can actually mess with their clarity. And it can even interfere with the person's free will, the person they're trying to heal.
Yeah, yeah. And like with this inner balance, this clarity that the healer has, wouldn't you say that it kind of goes hand in hand with humility?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you truly believe that you're a channel, not the source of the healing, it's kind of hard to get like a big ego about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And like Ross says in session 66, only insofar as the healer has become balanced may it be a channel for the balancing of another self. The healing is first practiced upon the self.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it all comes back to that inner work.
Yeah, it really does. And humility is really important because it protects the healer.
Okay.
It stops them from thinking that they have power over the person that's seeking their help.
Right.
It reinforces that idea that, the healing is happening through them, not because of them.
So where does our own consciousness and will fit into all of this? Because, Russ says in session 66, healing is done in the time-space portion of the mind-body-spirit complex. It is the will, the seeking, the desire of the entity which causes the indigo body to use the novel configuration. So it sounds like our own intention is a big part of it.
Absolutely. And that really emphasizes that, doing something physical isn't always enough.
Right.
To actually heal, to have that lasting change, there has to be a change in consciousness.
Yeah.
The person has to genuinely want to heal, to change, to embrace that.
And that brings us back to free will. Like
Yeah.
if the healer were to, say, I'm going to heal you in this way, or try to force a certain outcome,
Right.
wouldn't that mess with the person's own choices about their healing path?
Oh, it would definitely interfere. Yeah.
Ross talks about this in session 66. The crystallized healer has no will. It offers an opportunity without attachment to the outcome, for it is aware that all is one and that the creator is knowing itself.
Hmm.
And that phrase, has no will, it's pretty powerful, I think.
Yeah, it's really deep. I think what it means is that the healer is surrendering, and they're trusting in the process. It doesn't mean they don't care,
Right.
but it means that they're not trying to control things with their ego.
Right.
And that's what allows them to actually help. They're putting aside their own agenda to help the greater good and to let the person go on their own journey.
Ra also mentions visualization and how it can be used for healing.
Okay.
And he explains it as like a type of resonance, not like forcing something to happen.
Gotcha.
Ra says, the healer visualizes, through the regularity of self and of crystal, the less distorted other self to be healed. So it's not about like changing the person by force, but it's about giving them like a blueprint for well-being.
Right.
And inviting them to align with that,
Yeah, exactly. So the healer is like sending out this frequency of harmony.
Okay.
And it's like an example of wholeness. And then the person can choose whether they want to resonate with that.
Right.
It's like they're being invited to try out a different way of being.
And then there's this idea of the green ray,
Oh.
the heart center, and how that's where all this healing prana comes from,
Yeah.
like this vital energy. And Ra explains it. It is from the green center that the healing prana moves into the polarized healing right hand, and therefrom to the one to be healed.
Yeah.
He even describes the healer as this flowing spiral of light.
Mm.
So when we're talking about transparent healing, what's so important about the heart center?
Well, the green ray, it's all about love and compassion and balance.
Okay.
And those are exactly the things that allow us to connect with each other and heal each other deeply.
Right.
So it's saying that the energy of healing, it comes from those things,
Yeah.
not from trying to overpower someone or, force your own will on them.
And then to add to that, real healing is like an inner change that happens inside a person. Ra mentions this in session 66. The seeker will have the opportunity to accept a novel view of the self. If the entity, at any level, desires to remain in the configuration of distortion, it will do so.
Right.
So it's like the person actually has a choice in how they heal.
Yeah, they have agency.
Yeah.
The healer can offer them a chance to change. They can create the environment, to make it easier for them to heal. But at the end of the day, it's up to the person to actually decide to do it.
Right. They have to want to embody that change.
Yeah.
I really like when they describe the spirit as this wind and fire.
Yeah.
It's so like poetic.
Yeah.
And it's this pure creative energy
Yeah.
that's just flowing through the transparent healer.
Yeah.
Rai actually says in session 6, the spiritual body energy field is a pathway or channel. The spirit can become a functioning shuttle from the streamings of the creative fire and wind downwards. It's like such a cool image of openness, I think.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like the healer is this open pathway.
Right.
And this powerful energy, it's flowing through them, and there's nothing stopping it.
Yeah.
The clearer the channel, the stronger that energy can come through,
So going back to humility, because that's so important here.
Yeah.
What says, he who states that no working comes from it, but only through it, is not infringing upon free will.
Mm.
It's like constantly remembering that the power isn't yours,
Right.
but you're just helping it along. And that's how you keep that channel clear.
Yeah.
And how you respect the person's journey.
Yeah, it's almost like a paradox.
Yeah.
By the healer not trying to be the one who
Yeah.
they actually become better at it.
Right.
And it's a more ethical way to do it too.
And we keep talking about this inner work that the healer does, right?
Right.
It's not just a good idea. It's like, it's essential.
Oh, yeah.
Rai is really clear about that. In session 66, only insofar as the healer has become balanced, may it be a channel for the balancing of an other self.
Mhm.
The healing is first practiced upon the self. So why is it so important for the healer to heal themselves first?
Because the healer's own energy,
Yeah.
whether they're clear or not, that actually affects the person they're trying to heal.
Mm.
They're like a mirror,
Okay.
They reflect back to the other person their own potential for wholeness, for healing.
Right.
So if you want to help someone, it's their decision and there's no forcing involved.
And even when we think about like tools that healers use, crystals, for instance,
Yeah.
the same principle applies.
Well,
They're not like magic wands with some power from outside.
right.
They're more like, I don't know, resonant amplifiers,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even clear mirrors.
Mm.
And Rand describes this in session 57, quote, "The crystal will resound with the charged light of incarnative love, beaming healing energy, thus offering the one to be healed the opportunity to choose a less distorted inner complex."
It's about offering a pattern, but not forcing it on them.
Yeah, exactly. So the crystals, they can help focus the healing intention.
Okay.
They make it stronger.
Yeah.
But the way they really work is by creating this energy field that's like all in harmony. And then the person can choose whether or not they want to like match that harmony.
Right.
It's helping people heal themselves through resonance.
So then there's this big idea of the healer being detached from the outcome.
Yeah.
Like real transparency means you let go of even wanting a specific result. Right.
Ra puts it simply. The crystallized healer has no will. It offers an opportunity without attachment to the outcome. So how can a healer be detached but still really care about the person?
Well, being detached doesn't mean you don't have compassion
Right.
or that you don't care what happens. It means you trust the person.
Okay.
You trust that they have their own inner wisdom and that their soul is on a journey,
Yeah.
You have to recognize that healing might happen in ways that we don't expect.
Right.
And if we're too focused on one outcome,
Yeah.
we might actually block the healing from happening.
And then, Ra talks about how the energy flows in the healer's own body.
Right.
It's like it circulates through these energy centers in this harmonious way.
Right.
He says, the energy circulates through the energy centers, passes through the green energy center,
Yeah.
then through the blue and into the gateway to intelligent infinity. So the healer's body is like a clear pathway for the energy to flow through. Right.
Yeah. And that's so important for them to be able to channel the energy.
Okay.
It's like everything inside them has to be in alignment.
Yeah.
And then when they are aligned, this divine energy, this intelligent infinity, can flow through them easily.
Right.
And then it goes outward and it can heal.
But it all starts in the mind, right?
Yeah.
The healing happens in the consciousness first,
Right.
and then it shows up in the physical world.
Hmm.
In session 66, Ra says, healing is done in the time-space portion of the mind-body-spirit complex. It is the will, the seeking, the desire of the entity, which causes the indigo body to use the novel configuration. So the healer works on that energy level and the consciousness level first.
Exactly. So by working with the person's consciousness and their energy, the healer can create the conditions for the body to heal.
Right.
It's like going to the root of the problem.
And then there's that crystallized healer that has no will, as Ross says. It offers an opportunity without attachment to the outcome, for it is aware that all is one and that the creator is knowing itself. It's not about not having any intentions at all, but it's more like aligning with a higher intention.
Yeah, it's like they understand this bigger picture.
Right.
It's going beyond just what your ego wants. It's like
Right.
accepting this interconnectedness of everything and then trusting that there's a higher intelligence that's guiding the healing process.
And sometimes the best way to heal someone is to honor their journey, even if it means they have, like, limitations.
Yeah.
Or what we might see as an illness.
Right.
Ross says the role of the healer is to offer an opportunity for realignment. The seeker will then have the reciprocal opportunity to accept a novel view of the self. It's like sometimes those limitations are there for a reason.
Yeah, maybe the person has something to learn from them.
Right.
It takes a lot of, what's the word, sensitivity on the part of the healer
Okay.
to be able to see that,
Right.
To recognize that sometimes the best way to help someone isn't to try to fix them, but to help them find meaning and grow and learn to be okay with where they are.
I really like that analogy that Ra gives of the pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
He says, the crystallized healer is analogous to the pyramidal action, collecting light through the left hand and emitting it through the right. It's like they're focusing energy, but they're not forcing it to go in any direction.
It is a good visual.
Yeah.
So the pyramid, it gathers this light, it makes it stronger, but it doesn't have its own agenda.
Right.
And the healer is kind of like that.
And even when we talk about energy healing, like psychic surgery, Ross says, the choosing of the newly materialized configuration, which exists in time-space, not any event which occurs in space-time.
Right.
So it's not the actual thing that's happening, but it's what's happening inside the person, the change in their consciousness that really matters.
Yeah. So the energy work, it can create a possibility,
Right.
like a blueprint for a new reality.
Right.
But the person has to choose it. They have to actually accept that change in their mind for it to really happen in their body.
So the transparent healer, it's like they're this living energy temple. And And they're aligned to receive and transmit this divine light, right? Rilke describes it. The crystallized healer is analogous to the pyramidal action of the king's chamber position,
Mm-hmm.
spiraling through the feet, red, yellow, green, then through blue, and sent through the gateway back to intelligent infinity. It's like a whole circuit of energy.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and it shows how important the healer's role is.
Right.
They're like this bridge between the earth and the divine. And
Yeah.
this energy, it flows through them, and then it goes back to where it came from.
And it all comes back to free will.
Right.
The person always has a choice.
Always.
Rella says the role of the healer is to offer an opportunity for realignment. If the entity desires to remain in the configuration of distortion, it will do so.
Mm.
So the choice to heal always belongs to the person.
Exactly. The healer guides them, supports them, and creates this really clear energy field around them, but they can't force the person to change.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
And we keep coming back to this idea of the heart center,
Right.
the green ray. That's where this transparent healing energy flows from.
Yeah.
Ra says, it is from the green center that the healing prana moves into the polarized healing right hand, and therefrom to the one to be healed.
Mm.
So it's love and compassion, not power, that are the driving forces behind real healing.
Right. It's about giving freely.
Yeah.
Not trying to control the outcome or, like, get something from it.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your heart.
It's not about forcing. It's about aligning.
Yeah.
It's about inner harmony.
Right.
Ra explains it. Take then the crystal and feel your polarized and potentiated balanced energy channeled in green ray healing, thus offering the one to be healed the opportunity to choose a less distorted inner complex.
Mm.
It's all about the healer being balanced themselves.
Yeah. Because when the healer is balanced, their energy is, like, solid and strong.
Yeah. And that helps the person they're working with become balanced too.
Right,
It's like
yeah.
they're both vibrating at the same frequency.
And transparency is like this deep openness to spirit.
Yeah.
And in session 6, Rala talks about the spirit can become a functioning shuttle or communicator from the entity's energy will upwards and from the streamings of the creative fire and wine downwards. So it's like getting out of the way.
Yeah. It's about surrendering.
Right.
The healer steps aside and they let the higher power work through them.
Yeah.
They're not blocking the flow. They're just letting it happen.
And sometimes that realignment doesn't look like a physical healing.
Mm-mm.
Rao says, if the one wishing to be healed remains unhealed, your more helpful aid may be the suggestion that it meditates upon the affirmative uses of whatever limitations it might experience.
Right.
It's about healing in a different way,
Yeah.
like finding healing in the challenges.
Yeah. Because, true wisdom understands that sometimes there's a reason why things are the way they are.
Sometimes those limitations are part of the person's journey.
Right.
And the best way to help them might be to help them see the good in those limitations,
Yeah.
not to try to get rid of them.
Ra says that true healing is simply the radiance of the self, causing an environment in which a catalyst may occur which initiates the recognition of self, by self, of the self-healing properties of the self. So it's like the healer's presence. It's helping the person remember how to heal themselves.
Right, exactly. It's about reminding them,
Yeah.
empowering them. It's like, hey, you have the power to heal yourself.
And this gateway to intelligent infinity that we've talked about,
Yeah.
it opens through self-knowledge.
Okay.
And when we integrate our mind, body,